Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm in the heart of London in Mayfair, where I'm going to be interviewing another incredible guest, someone who is a self-made millionaire and now a TikTok influencer who has their own hashtag that trended over 210 million times. That's incredible. So stick around to the end to find out exactly who I'm going to be interviewing. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aaron Knightley and today I am joined with TikTok influencer, self-made millionaire, Simon Squibb. I'm delighted to have you on my channel. Simon has a huge amount of experience in all different areas that I kind of talk about on my channel, through entrepreneurship, mindset, building a business, and I suppose most relevant really is doing that through branding, marketing and social media. So we're going to take huge amounts of value from Simon. Simon, can I just start with asking for that 40 second overview of what you do, who you are, for those who might be new to you on this channel?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to talk to you and your audience. I left school at 15 and started a business, and I never looked back, really. I unlocked entrepreneurship from my brain and been working out that muscle in my brain ever since. I've started 19 companies, just invested in my 70th startup, and I just love taking something from your mind and making it real and helping people do that and doing it myself. And today I run a philanthropy project of sorts called the Purposeful Project, where we have a mission to help 10 million people start and grow a business of their own and never feel alone doing it. And that's what I spend most of my days doing now, figuring out ways to get people the knowledge they need to not wait for a job, but create one for themselves.
Awesome, thank you very much. So we're going to dive into, so this is a three-part interview. We're going to go through sort of entrepreneurship, the mindset, the branding and marketing, moving on to some different topics. So to kick this off, when it comes to branding and marketing, for anyone that follows Simon, I've been following you for a while now, and on TikTok, go check out Simon on TikTok. You've nailed the branding and marketing, especially on TikTok. So the feeling of branding and marketing, when I talk to a lot of people, I always come up against the conversation of overwhelmed of what platform to use, because there are so many. What's going to give you the biggest ROI? What can you monetize from? But ultimately, what can you build a business from? What is the platform that people perhaps should be focusing on, or is it to do with their circumstances? What is your experience of narrowing down?
It's a very difficult thing to answer without knowing, as you say, the individuals.
Yeah.
I think there's lots of strategies out there around what you should do. You know, focus on one channel, get that right, and then do the others, or the kind of Gary V model of do everything all the time. And if it helps anybody that's listening, I was sitting recently with a group of really big social media stars, and they were all talking about this as a struggle even for them. And you're talking people that have got tens of millions of followers on some of their channels, and they still struggle with this. What is the right strategy? I think, and I struggle with it. I sometimes find myself pushing YouTube, and other times I'm pushing Twitter, and other times I'm suddenly on LinkedIn again, and I think a lot of it is I go where the audience is. It's probably the best way to do it. I'm trying to help people that can't find a job create one for themselves. I'm trying to help people that perhaps in a job they don't love to go and create one for themselves. And as it happens, a lot of those people are on TikTok. So I've spent some time fine-tuning me to fit the platform, so that I can be relevant and useful on that platform, because that's where my audience is. Yeah. And so I think that I still personally create content. So for example, YouTube just started Shorts. It's exactly the same as TikTok. Exactly the same. So I've just started playing around with that. And the good thing about working on a platform that is already like a platform you've been working on is it doesn't really feel like lots of extra work. Yeah. If you've done a TikTok video and you've learnt that style and you've got an understanding of that format, that 30, 60 second format, to go and do exactly the same on Shorts, straight after doing a TikTok video, doesn't feel that much extra work. But to go and do a long form video, maybe like this is on YouTube, that's a different skill set actually, and a different set of tools required. So this video will need to be edited by an editor. This video needs to be shot as it is with proper kit. Whereas a TikTok video or even a Shorts video can just be done on your phone. And actually, the videos I've done where I've used proper cameras have done less well than the ones where I've just used my phone. I think on the branding side, This stuff's really tricky. I mean, I've been in branding 30 years. I built one of Asia's largest branding agencies called Fluid, which I sold to PricewaterhouseCoopers. So I've been talking about branding for a large part of my life. And the truth is that I think it's a very, very complicated subject, but the key, in my opinion, is authenticity.
Yeah.
If you, as a person or the company that you have, can just be yourself as much as you can, then actually it makes it a lot easier to build a brand, because you're not trying to be something you're not and get caught out, trying to be something you're not, and therefore it's painful every time you try to speak, because you have to remember what you're not to represent the brand you've created. Yeah. So I think if you can just be yourself, say what you want to say, and not hold back and just be, I think it's much easier to build a brand. But I personally think today there's a little bit of a problem with brand. People are getting a bit confused. There's personal brand and there's company brand. Yeah. And I think personal brand is something people feel naturally drawn to because it's quite fulfilling. Yeah. But it's very hard to scale personal brand. And something I learned in building all my businesses is that I was always glad I didn't actually build a personal brand. It's only now I'm building a personal brand because I'm having fun. I'm not thinking about money. Yeah. But when I was thinking about money, I did actually, I am grateful that I thought about building a company brand first and a Simon Squibb brand second. So I had a company called Fluid. And that company was run by me. So people would say, Fluid, run by Simon Squibb, or owned by Simon Squibb. So my brand was built, my brand name was built around the success of my business. Yeah. But that meant I could sell that business. That meant I could bring someone else in to run it. It meant that I didn't have to be a slave to my own brand. Whereas personal brand is much more of a lifetime commitment type model. Yeah. And I would say to people that are starting out anyway, maybe consider building a company brand first and personal brand second. Yeah. And now as I have a personal brand, it is quite, like I'm about to have a 2-month holiday, but there's part of me is like, I can't really have a holiday because I've got to post something on my channels every day. Whereas when I had a company, I had a 2-month holiday and I had a brilliant team, and they would run it for 2 months
because you weren't
while I was
there.
away.
Yeah.
So I think this personal brand stuff, people should be a bit careful with.
Do you think that feeling, so there was huge value there, I took so much from that, and I want to touch on a couple of points quickly, is there a part, you just said, you're going to go away, is that more of a case of because you feel this obligation to be in the eye of TikTok, all these other platforms, or is it a case of if you did just go quiet for a little bit, wouldn't make a difference if you came back? Do you think you naturally take that on?
I think there's a few elements to it, and it's something I ask myself, why do I feel this way? So it's a good question. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners feel this way, that they get obligated, you almost feel obligated. Yeah. I think there's a combination of things. When you put a lot of time and energy into something, as I have done building the Purposeful Project and my personal brand over the last year, you don't want to suddenly lose momentum. There's a feeling that you lose momentum. But I would say that's a typical business struggle that you have. There's never a good time as an entrepreneur to have time off. It's always, if it's quiet, you can get more done. If it's busy, you've got that stuff to do, right? Yeah. So there's never an easy time to take time off. But I think there's an element of like, okay, well, you don't want to lose momentum. That's certainly true. But also habit. And this is something I've learned as I got older. I basically have posted a video every single day for the last year and a half. So there's also an element, and this isn't a good thing, there's also an element of like, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to that system. And in reality, now that system's controlling me, right? Yeah. Because I feel obligated. It's like having a coffee in the morning. If you start having a coffee every morning, within about 3 weeks, you're going to wake up and feel lost if you haven't had a coffee in the morning. And I feel like that's the downside of social media. Like I have a little kick around 11 o'clock when I post a video up. I have another little kick around 7 o'clock if I do another video, right? And so as much as I might moan that I'm a slave to it, there's some sort of addiction to it. And then the other thing, which I'm sure again a lot of your listeners might relate to, is the feeling that you're letting people down. Yeah. So I have a particularly strong purpose. There's a lot of people right now that are suffering, can't find a job, or worried about furlough coming to an end and going to lose their job. And I don't want those people, because I want to have a nice time and a couple of months off with my family, which, why shouldn't I? Worked hard my whole life. But there's a part of me that feels like I don't want to let people down out there that might need help at this time. Yeah. And I feel guilty about that. And so that's another element of it too, really.
There was huge points there. And what I would want to say on the back of that is that for me, that comes down to like a balance, because I know that, so I want to touch on this shortly, is that having a backup when it comes to social media, because I had quite a big following on my original Instagram account and I totally lost it, because I had so many fake accounts made of mine. I had something like 16 within a week, and Instagram took down my account and I could never get it back. So I lost like 2.5 years of building a big following. So I didn't have essentially a backup. It was mainly Instagram. And I would have that whole fear of, I have to keep up this obligation and stuff like that for what I was doing. And my wife would say, you need to come off this now. Like, this is, there's reality and then there's family. What are you, Instagram or reality and family. But sort of, you said it, is building a business first. I believe when I try and talk to my audience or anyone asks me, I always say that it should be monetary business building first before you do things that don't offer you any ROI, whether that's helping other people and there's a bit of give and take both sides, instead of building that personal brand first. So that was amazing. What I want to now touch on is, how do you balance the overwhelming feeling? So do you have any sort of top tips that you sort of structure your day and saying, okay, I'm going to post in the morning, or is it in the afternoon? Like you said, you post every day. How do you structure and not get too overwhelmed with platforms?
I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
Okay, and I would say this has been my strength and weakness my whole life.
Right.
I don't separate them.
Okay.
And I would go as far as to say, I think, this whole thing like work-life balance, right? There's no work-life balance, it's just life. So I married my business partner. My 4-year-old son was in my videos this morning.
Yeah.
I just don't separate anything.
Right.
And in a way, of course, that creates at points its own issues. But I feel like, back to that authenticity thing, like my wife sees me, I am who I am. I know a lot of people who go to work, very different people at work, and then when they come home, they're different with their partners, right? Yeah. And I know where that ends, often in divorce, because they don't know each other, right? I like the whole transparency, this is who I am. And I'm lucky, I think, to be with someone in life who's similar. My wife has a business, she was working till 1 a.m. She doesn't need to work, but she gets satisfaction from the creation and the build, and there's something exciting about, working till 1 a.m. and something. And so I think, it is the balance thing. It's not for everyone what we're talking about here. But I saw a few of my friends, we all had kids around the same time. And the analogy I sometimes draw is that the people that are really happy being parents are the ones that just accept their old life is gone, and just enjoy the new life, whatever form that is. And I feel like when you're building a business or you're building a life, in a way you've got to kind of accept whatever you thought was great about your previous life, the ability to just switch off at 5, and the ability maybe to live a monthly life, but not necessarily want to worry about cash flow, but never really have a high either. But you get used to that life. So suddenly, when you've got no money coming because you're an entrepreneur for a while, and you've got no 5 o'clock click off. At first, it's like, oh my god, that's really awful. But now I couldn't think of anything worse than the other way around. Like, I don't care I have no income for a month. Like, I'd rather that than 1 month I make a couple of million. And it's the freedom for me is important, but I think you get conditioned. And so I think my view is that don't stress, decide what you're happy with structure-wise in your life and then live with it. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I think just embrace it all in. Everyone in your life is involved in your business. Yeah. Everything about your life is about business. Yeah. And a lot of my friends come from business deals I've done. Yeah. Literally business deals that have become friends of mine. Yeah. And that makes it easier. Yeah. Because we're all hustling. We all understand the grind. We all understand what it's like.
The same level.
Yeah. And I'm more comfortable like that. I've got friends from school that, no offence, but they're 9 to 5 people, and they're nice people, but they just don't understand me. They often will sit and tell me, why are you spending so much time working? Why are you posting so much? Why? It's who I am. And if they don't see that, it's hard to be true friends anymore because they're not the same as you.
I like your take on being open and transparent with your partner and everyone else is around you, because I couldn't agree more. If you are going to go into it, I think to keep quiet about it and do it on your own, there might not be that same support. So I like what you've just said, what you have, because I think that's a really good way to keep momentum going, because you're all in it together. So I really like that. So for many entrepreneurs, burnout is something that happens where they're taking on a lot of platforms, stuff like that. Just to finish this part 1 off, what would be some top tips for perhaps people that are watching, have just started YouTube, TikTok, and they want to monetize from it? How do you just avoid burnout? How can you go into this for someone might be watching? How do you avoid burnout?
Well, burnout is an interesting subject because I was burnt out and didn't even know it. So the analogy, again, to explain it, is like you have a nail in the foot When nail first goes in, you feel it.
Yeah.
But 15 years later, the nail's still in your foot. You don't even know it's there anymore. It might be septic, but you just got used to the pain, right? And I think sometimes burnout's like that. You don't even know you're burnt out. I think what was a trigger for me is that I got a bit overweight, and I kept getting on the scales, your weight's going up, and you're not doing anything about it. That's when I realised. I think I got to 100 kg, and I was like, this isn't right. I'm not 100 kg. This is
naturally
what's happened to me. I was 85 kg, 5 years ago, and I've just kept going, and I haven't done anything about it. And I think it's because you get so busy, and that's when I stopped. And when I stopped is when I realised I had burnout. I didn't realise I had it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, you don't realise you've got it. It's like when you go on holiday and you suddenly have a break for a week, and you're like, why haven't I been exercising? Well, I feel a bit overweight. And I mean, you start recognising you haven't given yourself any internal maintenance.
Yeah.
You've been external. And I think burnout is actually a very subtle thing for most people. Physical complete burnout is obvious. When you just can't get out of bed anymore, or you're completely exhausted, or you often get sick, right?
Yeah.
That's obvious burnout. I think the more dangerous burnout is the one you don't actually know you've got.
Yeah.
That nail in the foot, stress you just got used to, because your body's permanently got cortisol in it, and you don't even realise it because you're just used to having cortisol in your body all the time.
Yeah, I completely relate, and that's one thing that I try and talk to people about is rest, reflect, recover, and then go again. So just to finish on that, there was amazing points. Loved part one. Thank you so much, Simon. There were just some things in there which I think anyone looking to start business, branding and marketing, and start on their journey, just really plan it out, manage it well, be open, transparent. That was something I'm going to take away. And let's roll on to part two.